The Downtown Greenway is a 4-mile multi-use trail. It provides people with an incredible place to go to and from work, to exercise in a beautiful environment, to connect with 8 neighborhoods that surround downtown, and to learn about Greensboro's history through public art.
I've been involved with the Greenway since the beginning. I'm Susan Schwartz. In 2000, I started working for a group that became Action Greensboro, and it was putting itself together to address the loss of jobs in our community.
I'm Trip Brown, still on the payroll at Brown Investment Properties. We were losing our furniture, we were losing our textiles, and we needed to kickstart our economy.
We had lots of areas we wanted to work in. I mean, education, economic development, attracting young professionals. But one area was the revitalization of downtown. The key that linked everything together was the Downtown Greenway.
And the theory was that if you build this greenway, that you'll have a lot of economic development around it.
I'm Dabney Sanders, and I'm the project manager for the Downtown Greenway. Well, I heard about the idea for this 4-mile loop around downtown when it was first revealed as part of the master plan for Center City. I was new to Greensboro at that time. I had just moved here in 1999. And to me, it just represented something so exciting for the community, something that everybody could use, something that would really set us apart. We decided it was time to get really serious about it. And so I was hired as the first project manager in 2007.
Honestly, it was one of the reasons I moved here. So I used to live outside of Washington, D.C. Just knowing that the city was committed to creating a pedestrian-friendly environment downtown was a huge reason why I moved here.
I am Nancy Vaughn, and I am the former mayor of Greensboro. I don't think people realize that this is an infrastructure project. It isn't just beautification or recreation. There was a huge infrastructure portion to that.
The Greenway symbolizes investment in infrastructure for the city of Greensboro and just what that investment can do and what it can bring. Nathaniel Trey Davis, I'm the city manager, city of Greensboro. I think about the ability for people to have this walkability around our downtown. I think about people being able to connect to different areas maybe they haven't had access to before. But even more so, I think about the anticipation of the development that's going to come in years.
The idea when I was hired was let's kind of move from that planning phase into actually getting ready to break ground and get something on the ground. We had heard from people that lived in some of the neighborhoods along the southern edge and the eastern edge of downtown that those neighborhoods were always the last to receive services from the city.
My name is Max Sims. We just didn't put it out here and nobody knew about it, but we brought it to the folks, said, what do you want to see? What do you want to do? How do you want this Greenway to look? And some people have never heard of Greenway.
We decided we really wanted to start the first section, break ground on the first section here in the Warnersville community. Greensboro College owned this piece of property. They were generous enough to give us, as a donation, a permanent easement that allowed us to break ground here in 2009 and opened this first section in 2010.
The biggest change was probably the Murrow Boulevard extension. It was just a multi-lane highway getting people out of downtown over to Gate City Boulevard.
There was no sidewalk and there were no landscaping at all there. So it was a really desolate, difficult environment.
But now it's much slowed down. You've got the trail, you've got benches, you can see up to the Magnolia House, you have that wonderful artwork at the corner of Murrow.
The last section, we used to call that the magical mile, and we thought that it would be the very first section that we developed.
Walker Sanders, Skip Moore, and I got in a car and went up to Roanoke to talk to Norfolk and Southern at that time. And they made one thing very abundantly clear right from the start. We don't give away anything. We're a profit-making business.
And then we started calling it the Miracle Mile, because we thought it might be a miracle if we could ever actually get it finished. We finally were able to broker a deal with Norfolk Southern in 2019, and now we call it the Western Branch. There's a beautiful stream, the College Branch stream, that runs along that section. It provides an amazing connection to the Atlantic and Yadkin Greenway up through Summerfield, and then you connect to the Mountains to Sea Trail. And if you get on the Mountains to Sea Trail and you go to Durham, you connect up with the East Coast Greenway. And so I just love this idea of downtown Greensboro being connected to that much larger system.
My favorite thing about the Greenway is its proximity to our home. It's amazing to me that we could walk out our front door and within a block we are on this thoroughfare that takes us straight through downtown, past all these amazing places.
The giant robot right on West Market Street, that's where I get to work every day, so it's great seeing that work of art.
I would say Meeting Place. The garden and really the gazebo, you get plenty of room to see it with you and your family or friends. I like the view of the trees and the fruit trees.
My name is Barbara Peck, and I'm the public art consultant for the Downtown Greenway. One of the things that I really loved about this project when I first learned about it was the fact that the planners had, from the beginning, envisioned a non-vehicular route around downtown that included, as a key focal point, public art. And the public art was included as a way to tell the story of Greensboro.
The form of the Gateway of the Open Book is the profile of a book. I worked with a local artist, Frank Russell, who worked with school children and had them found things from the neighborhood that Frank would then assemble. I thought they were intriguing, and I felt that this could be a book of the neighborhood.
This park is intended as a playful space for community members of all ages and abilities. Did you notice that the paths going one way are paved and the paths going the other are landscape beds? That's because together they make up a woven grid, like the twill weave of denim jeans. There's really no one way to experience Wovenworks Park. I hope that some of the inspiration that I discovered in Greensboro's past will open the door to a playful and unique experience of the Downtown Greenway.
Modern Love, celebrating Greensboro's African-American modernist architects. The large shapes spanning the wall are painted aluminum, modernist in feel, and represent freedom and movement. Lush purple backgrounds represent royalty and power, and the red and yellow patterns are taken from the red line maps of Greensboro, where African Americans were isolated to live in areas that would have lower investment value than their white counterparts. The imagery celebrates their resilience and trailblazing creativity despite the racism and roadblocks placed in their way.
If you look around, you might get a sense that this is an unusual place. You can see the creek called College Branch, a surprisingly healthy urban waterway just a few blocks from hardcore downtown. Urban and nature come together in a kind of little oasis here. The sculpture was made using a technique we call earth casting. The castings literally show the geology of the land that existed long before the city arrived.
It's really connected a lot of people, and it's connected communities throughout the city, and that is something that is becoming more and more important in today's world. I see tons of people I've never met before out here, promote a little community, get people out of their homes, get people out in the sunshine, touching a little bit of grass, and I'm all for that.
The Greenway was planned to connect neighborhoods physically to each other and to downtown, but it's been cool to see how it's also connected people through relationship building. I'm Chelsea Phipps, and I work for the City of Greensboro Parks and Recreation Department as the Greenway and Gardens Program Coordinator. You will see anyone and everyone within Greensboro and beyond on the Greenway. We see a lot of people use it weekday evenings and weekend mornings for running, walking their dog when they get home from work. I'm really proud of the fact that all of our community programming year-round is free.
In 2025, we had 188 different programs, which is kind of amazing. And we did that with 158 community partners. And that really allows us to use the expertise of our local community.
Our annual Run and Block Party is one of my favorites. It's certainly our largest event annually. We have some people as little as 1 and 2. They've just started walking and they're out there doing their 1 mile, toddling along to, I think last year our oldest participant was 94 or 95. And then the block party, we've got live music and all these local vendors and nonprofits, inflatables and face painting. Speed friending, I've got to give credit to Sam Gaylord. Strangers come together, they're paired up, they have 5 minutes to talk. It's very fast. And then, time's up, everyone moves a seat, you get a new partner and you go again. We've actually seen instances where people met their best friend at speed friending. There's a lot of civic pride that kind of comes through some of these programs. The Downtown Greenway, like its intention, it really represents all of Greensboro.
Beautiful, one more.
Welcome, everyone. Hello. Woo-hoo! So welcome to the Downtown Greenway's grand opening and ribbon cutting.
Here we are, 25 years, 6 mayors, 8 city managers. Good things come to those who wait. Congratulations, Greensboro. You waited and you won.
Our vision for the future includes everybody who lives nearby, who maybe rode their bike in on one of the trails. But what we're gonna see is more visitors who bring their bikes, their skates, their strollers, who spend time on the Greenway and who spend time downtown in our museums, our restaurants, our bars, and our parks.
It is so much more than a trail. It is a place where neighbors can gather, families can walk and bike together, visitors can experience Greensboro and see all of the art. This is amazing.
Today's celebration is also a reminder of the value of strong public-private partnerships. Let me say that again. The value of strong public-private partnerships and just what it can do for our city.
Who's ready to cut the ribbon? We truly have a supersized length of ribbon. Start lining up along the ribbon, find a spot, and let's get this thing open. Are we ready? I'm gonna count you down from 3. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cut that ribbon!